So we'll spend the rest of the class period on the EOC questions for this unit. So number 1 states that one wall inside a shoe store is used to display walking shoes and running shoes. There are 135 pairs of shoes in this display. There are 1.5 times as many pairs of walking shoes as there are running shoes on display. How many pairs of walking shoes and running shoes are on the display? Okay, so some of you guys will have trouble determining the equation. So I'm going to try to give you kind of a little bit of a shortcut where you're not really using the algebra, you're using your answer choices to figure out what the answer is. Okay, so we know that there is 1.5 times as many pairs as walking shoes as there are running shoes. So hopefully you should know that there are more walking shoes than there are running shoes. So if you look here, if I take the 90 walking and the 45 running, that could work. So I'm going to put a little question mark there. Here, 54 and 81, well that's more. There's more running shoes on that one, and we know that we need more walking shoes. Okay, same thing here. The numbers aren't enough. So meaning the 45 is less than the 90, and we need it to be the other way around. And then we have 80 and 51. Okay, so this says that there are 1.5 times as many walking shoes as there are running shoes. So I'm going to take this 45 and this 54 and I multiply them both by 1.5. So if I take 45 times 1.5, does that give me the 90? It does not. So it better be this one, but we're going to check. So 54, let me show you. 54 times 1.5. So that gives me the 81. So there's my answer. And that's without doing the algebra. That's just using the answer choices to figure out what my answer is. Number 2 is very similar. So I'm going to go ahead and go to number 3. And number 4 is very similar to this. Let me touch on number 4 real quick and then we'll go back to number 3. So number 4, what I'm going to want you to do is I'm going to want you to keep in mind, so you have a high school bake sale. They want to know how many cupcakes are being sold. So here are your cupcakes and the other are your cookies. So it's determining based off of what we did on number 1 to figure out what your answer is. So let's go ahead and go back to number 3. Alright, so number 3. And some of you get confused just because of the wording on this. So there are 9 books stacked on a shelf. The thickness of each bookshelf is either 1 inch or 2 inches. The height of the stack of 9 books is 14 inches. Which system of equations can be used to determine X, the number of 1 inch thick books in the stack, and Y, the number of 2 inch thick books? Okay, so here's what I know. I know that X stands for the number of 1 inch books, and I know Y stands for the number of 2 inch. So kind of what we did before, this isn't one that you can necessarily use your answer choices. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit different because it uses 2 different equations in one sentence. So we know that the number of 1 inch and the number of 2 inch binders is 9. So if you look at your answer choices, that cancels out A and B. So what's the difference between C and D? Okay, so here, this was the blue that I highlighted. Now we're going to look at the orange. So the orange talks about the 1 inch, which is X, plus your 2 inch binder, which is Y, and it's telling us that it's 14 inches high. So that means our correct answer is D. Okay, so again, number 4, read the problem. Here are your cupcakes, here are your cookies. You're going to need to make sure that it adds up to 52. There's my hint to y'all. Alright, number 5. So let's see if you guys can remember what you're supposed to do on this problem. So you have, Stephanie has 20 coins in her purse. Some are quarters and some are dimes. The total value of the coins is $3.35. Which systems of equation can be used to determine D, the number of dimes, and Q, the number of quarters? Okay, so 20 coins. So here's all the ones that talk about the number of quarters. Now, the total value, remember this is where I told you money goes with money. So let's see which one's the correct answer. Okay, so I know that my quarters, or my dimes and my quarters, have to give me 20 coins. So that means I can cancel out C and D. Why? Because they both equal the wrong number for the Q and D, or D and Q. Okay, now let's look at the value. Well, what is the value of a dime and what is the value of a quarter? Now, I did D and Q, and on your answer choices it says Q and D, so I'm going to make sure that on this one that I put the numbers in the right place. So the value of a quarter, hopefully you know, is 25 cents, not 25. And the value of a dime is 0.10, which is 10 cents. And that's going to give me the value of what's in her purse, which is the $3.35. So if you look, the difference between A and B is the fact that this has a decimal and this doesn't. So there's our answer. Alright, number 6, I'm going to let y'all do that on your own. It's very similar to what we did on the video yesterday. Hopefully y'all did well on your quiz on this problem. So remember, if you're finding a solution within a table, it has to have the same numbers in each column. So if you look, I may have to extend it. I may have to do some work to get what I need. Alright, so let me see. So 3, 4 is not on there, but 4 would be 4, 5. 5 would be 5, 6. Oh, no, 5 would be 5, 4. Okay, there it is. The two numbers that match. So remember, in order for it to be a system, these two numbers, or there's an ordered pair that has to match. There's my answer. Alright, number 8. I'm going to tell you to solve for Y for both. And then use the calculator. Y1, Y2. Second trace, 5, enter, enter. Alright, and you got to keep in mind that this one's asking for the X value. Alright, so what I want you to do, and yes, there are 2 more problems in the back, but we're going to stop here for time's sake, and hopefully on Monday we can finish these 2. What I want you to do is I want you to glue this down on page 13 of your composition book. So if you'll look, the back, basically what I did is I'm going to fold this up to where it has the equation, or not the equation, the unit 6 systems, and I'm going to glue this down on page 13. Alright, y'all have a good weekend.